Hey guys, Kev here, and I want to do my full review on the Vero Engineering Neuron. So this is obviously the double detent knife that Vero has come out with. A very interesting design, and this was a pre-order, of course, and I feel like a lot of them have shipped. I believe as of the filming of this, he's getting the second batch out now, I think. I'm not too up to date on this specific knife. But Joseph was kind enough to send this. So this is actually a loaner. He sent this Neuron in the full titanium and M390, as well as a mini Fulcrum. And I am passing these around to some other channels so they can check it out, review it. And I think that's awesome of Joseph to do. That way we don't have to all purchase one if it's something we're just interested in, and you guys get to get some information about it as well. This is the cheapest Vero knife out there. This is the cheapest Vero product, I believe, unless you count like shirts and stuff. The Fulcrum, I believe, comes in around $90. I do have a full size. I actually have two of them. I love them. The mini Fulcrum's good, but there are some caveats, and I did a video on it, but I guess I'll go over it briefly. So let's start with the Fulcrum. Here is a comparison to the full size. So I guess I'll call this the mini Fulcrum and Neuron review. So here's a comparison to the full size. You can see, I think it's about 3.5 inches. We can measure it. I'm sure you can get this information online somewhere, but yep, 3.5 inches. Oh, they picked it right up. 3.5 inches compared to the full size being 5. Oh, sorry. Just about 5.2 inches. All right, hope that helps. Centimeters, that's 132 millimeters. Sorry, 132 millimeters. What's that? 13.2 centimeters. And on the mini, 8.9 centimeters or 89.6 millimeters, I think, if I'm doing math properly, which is moving a decimal. So anyway, there's a size comparison. The main reason that I personally am not a big fan of the mini is because I carry these in my pocket. So this goes in my back right pocket every single day. This is by far my most used EDC item. I am a dad, and this is the best dad tool there is. You have a sort of flathead / pry tip for unscrewing things / scraping things, whatever. Then you have a spot for 2 bits, and it is a bit driver, obviously. So is the mini, also holds 2 bits. And I always carry a Phillips and a T8. T8 for my knives, Phillips for the thing I use the most is the Phillips, because I'm always taking apart battery compartments and replacing batteries in toys. At my parents' house, where my nephews hang out as well, there's a lot of toys there, as well as at my house when my daughter gets toys. It's just something you need, right? And it's nice to just pull it out of your pocket, slap it in there, and be able to do it comfortably. That's the thing. There's a lot of these pry bars out there that have the little slot where you can slide a bit in and use it, but they don't work well. They don't stay in there, so you have to kind of like hold the bit in and like set it against the toy or whatever, and then you don't get the right amount of leverage, or there's like a bottle opener poking you in the hand. So that's why I love the Fulcrum. It's just so simple. You could throw in just the flathead bit. It does come with 3 other bits and extra O-rings. So you get a flathead. Where is that? Where the hell is the flathead? Is it in here? Huh. I swear it comes with a flathead. This one has a T10, a T6, and a T8. Oh, duh. Sorry, guys. This is mine. This is the one he sent. Flathead and Phillips head, idiot. And then T6, 8, and 10. That's how it works. Sorry, I'm a dope. And then O-rings. And you get a little cloth with it. And I think it's a pretty good price. I mean, 80, 90 bucks, whatever it is. But yeah, so I swap out the flathead for a Torx because most of my knives, the T8 is going to work on the pivot and a lot of the clips. And I use this as a flathead. I can use a lot of things as a flathead, so I don't necessarily need a flathead. It'd be nice, but so that's why I do it that way. But the reason I'm not the biggest fan of this is the clip. You see where the O-rings are under the clip? That's a big issue going in pocket. So if you're going to be a guy who doesn't carry it with the clip, Mini is a good solution. If you're not going to use a clip, you can buy a clipless sort of attachment. Because the thing is, you can't just take the clip off and throw it in your pocket. Because this holds the clip on, and the clip actually has the magnet in it. And that's what holds the bit. And I guess what I'm trying to say is that you can't take it off because then it's rendered useless. And that's what's so unique about this product. That's what makes this product so good, is that it's still a pretty slim pry bar because he found a way to get the clip to be the sort of bit holder. I mean, it's really ingenious if you think about it. At least I think so. And this is how it works. You drop your bits in and there's a magnet in there. So they're not coming out. And then you have a bit driver. And it's just freaking awesome. The Mini does not have some crazy bottle opener or anything on it that's going to jack your hand up. So you can get a pretty good grip and torque. Obviously, on the full size, you're going to get more of a grip. And I love the full size. But I would admit, if this had a better clip option, I would probably have one. Just because it's nice to have something a little smaller in your pocket occasionally. You know, where this is like 5.5 inches almost. Goes all the way in your pocket, which it's not a big deal. But I would probably have one if it had a better option for carry. They are 4mm bits. They're not 1/4 inch. So just keep that in mind. And they're Weehaw bits that come with it. You'll see here the way he has it set up from factory is to have these 2 rings at the top, where obviously it'd be ideal to have it spread out like this. Now, these don't go anywhere, but he did that because that way you can get farther up the clip before you hit an O-ring. Because if you have the O-ring down here, look at that. You're going to be bumping into that as soon as you slide it in your pocket. And that was my problem with the Mini Fulcrum. If you watch, I'll try to put it in pocket. So here we go. As soon as we get to here, we're going to start getting bound up by the O-rings. Ugh. And then when you pull it out of pocket, oh my God, you just can't get it out, or you end up pulling the O-ring down. And it's just not ideal. Shout out to Issuing Stitches, this awesome Michael Scott Hank. But yeah, so that's why I don't like the Mini Fulcrum for clip carry. Now, they do sell an attachment where it basically takes the clip off and it just has this top part, so you have the bit driver still, and then you can just chuck it in a pocket now, or a fanny pack or a bag or whatever. Now that is ideal. That is great. They also have one that turns it into a key thing, so you can hook it under your keys. And I had that, but you have to take it off to use it because the hole somehow I forget how it works, but it goes through like here. So it blocks the bit from going in. So you have to actually unhook it from your keys to use it. And that kind of sucked. So the Mini Fulcrum is awesome. I love the concept of a mini version of this. It's just not quite perfect for me. I think a lot of people do love the Mini Fulcrum, though. So, anyway, that is the Mini Fulcrum, and I guess an overview on the full size as well. Shout out to Joseph Vero for laser engraving mine. I have this blue wash one. I swapped clips with my plain tie one. That one's in my truck now. They're an amazing tool, guys. Again, my most used EDC item, including knives, whatever. Maybe a pen I use more because of work, but just an amazing product. So that's the Fulcrum. I guess mini and full size. So let's go back to the Neuron. It's a double detent knife, and let's do the full review here. So aesthetically, you're looking at basically a mini Axon. So it's a double detent, I almost said slip joint, double detent sort of version of the Axon, right? The Axon's got a 3.5-inch blade. This has a, hey, look at that, 2.75-inch blade. Overall length, 6.35. Blade steel's M390. It's on bearings with a double detent, full titanium liners, and hardware. So there you go. There's your specs. Look at that. Lefty with some specs. Here's a comparison to the full size. This is a Lefty. And there you go. All right, 2.75, 3.5. This is an amazing knife, guys. I love the full-size Axon. So, big difference, it doesn't lock. It's got 2 detents, guys. So, there's a detent that locks it closed, and there's a detent that, okay, I shouldn't say locks, that keeps it closed, keeps it from just shaking right out, and then there's one that keeps it from closing instantly, although it is gonna break if you put enough pressure on it. It's not the weakest, but it is a pretty weak detent. And that's meant to be on purpose so you can do this stuff and, you know, flick it and do all this. I am not good at double detents, guys. I end up just trying to play this game where I keep going and I end up messing it up and I suck. Just not for me. I'm not a slip joint guy really either. Although I am going to be trying some, I think, in the future. And I think I would prefer a slip joint over this. This is just not for me because I have an addictive personality and I just sit here and do this, and I would just do this like all the time. And it's for me, it's not fun. It like ends up becoming an obsession to try to keep going, and I'll count how many times can I get it in a row, and like, it's just not fun, right? But anyway, that's me. So again, aesthetically, mini Axon, basically. There is an actual mini Axon, but that's a liner lock. I love the blade shape. It's got that pelican sort of warny blade shape on it. Sheep's foot. One of my favorite blade shapes ever is the Axon blade shape, which is funny because when it first came out, I thought it was ugly. But yeah, so aesthetically, I think it's a good looking knife. I love the pockets in the blade. I love the full tie. I love the monochromatic. Does have the updated sort of Vero clip with the shelf up here, or the plateau, and a little more clearance for your pocket. It goes in your pocket fine, comes out fine. It is a little tight like most of his knives, but that's just because Joseph has a season pass to Six Flags, and when him and his family go, he just doesn't want his knife falling out of his pocket. So he makes sure the clips are tight enough. So if you're the kind of person who has a season pass to Six Flags or Busch Gardens, or you go on gravity rides a lot, definitely a good clip for you. But for the rest of us, it works fine. It just is, instead of being like a quick slip in, it's kind of like comparing guillotine drop shut to controlled drop shut. So like a guillotine drop shut clip would just slide right in your pocket, slide back out, right? A controlled drop shut clip, nice and easy on the entry, and then when you come out, consistent pull, and it comes out of your pocket. I hope that makes sense. I know it sounded dumb. Let's try to show you here. So it's got that tension because it's against the scale, and it doesn't have a ton of clearance, but it's not like hard to get in your pocket, if that makes sense. There's no like pop or like pointy thing like Two Sons have. And then when it comes out, you just have to have some, you just have to pull it and it will consistently have that pressure and come out. I hope that makes sense. I have no issues with Vero clips, at least not the newer ones. Some of the earlier ones were way too tight. But the new ones I've handled, they've all been fantastic. As for the hot spot stuff people used to talk about, that's taken care of by this plateau. So there's that. That's aesthetics. Ergos. Again, it's sort of like a mini Axon, and it just fits my hand really well. I've always loved the Axon design. Now, this I would never hold back here like I would my Axon, but you have this flat right here. It's one of Vero's just awesome sort of features that he always does, this flat. I love it, and it fits my hand really well. I get all 4 fingers on, no problem. Right-handed, same thing. So ergos are good. I have no issues with ergos. It is a smaller knife. You know, you got to keep that in mind. There's a little bit of jimping back here, but that's more for the flipping and such. It's not really for, I guess you could maybe use it for use, but you should not be using this for anything you're going to need that kind of pressure for, because you're going to break that detent and cut yourself. Carry, we just went over. It's good. It's pretty lightweight. It's pretty solid. I mean, it's a little bit tall because of the beak down here, but it works. I've never had an issue carrying this or my Axon, so no big deal. I would definitely carry this right in your right front pocket or your back left pocket. Do not carry this in your left front pocket or back right pocket where it could easily open. The detent is very weak on this, and it just is asking to be pulled open somehow. So I would never do that. But otherwise, great carry. Cutting. So this is where this one fell a little short for me. And it's not really the blade shape or anything. I love the sheep's foot Warncliffe. Again, my Axon is amazing. It was the factory edge. It was basically dull. I mean, I tried cutting paper. It was just tearing. I tried cardboard after that. It was just kind of tearing through that. I did strop it for a while, and I did get it to sort of cut paper, but never really got it super sharp. And I have a sharp maker here from Spyderco. I don't have like a KME or anything, and I'm not like the best sharpener. So if a knife comes to me dull, I'm almost like fucked. Unless it's a steel that's really easy to sharpen and my sharp maker can do it. It would have taken me a while to sharpen this on my sharp maker. I didn't feel like doing that. You can see how it's just slipping off. But if I catch it right, I can cut with it after stropping it for a while. So just want to point that out. I have never had a problem from Vero getting a knife that's not sharp. So I think this is a one-off situation. Possibly even the reason he sent this one for the pass around. He just forgot to mention it, that he held this one back for that reason. Who knows? So I don't want to hold that against him. I do want to note, though, that that is a pet peeve of mine. Again, because I don't have an amazing sharpening system and because it's a knife. You know, like QC issues are one thing, centering and whatnot. This is dead nuts, by the way. But getting a knife that you paid for and having it not be sharp is it's a little insulting to me. But again, this is not a knife I bought. This is a loaner knife. So this could have been a user. I don't know. So I'm not holding it against Vero. I'm just saying, if you ever get a knife that's dull from a company, it's insulting to me, you know? I've had that happen from Tor knives specifically. I hate to shout them out because they are on the rebound, it seems. But I got a knife that was literally dull. And I don't know. It's just, I don't know. Anyway, so that's cutting. Other than that, I can tell you from experience with the Axon, this blade shape is phenomenal. Usually, Bestech's flat grind is excellent. It may not be as thin behind the edge as my Axon because it's a little bit of a shorter blade, right? Yeah, I'm putting pressure on that, just not even feeling it. So there's that. But I think if you put an edge on it, it would be fine. Now, I would say be careful. You do not want to do more than maybe cut a package or something. Anything where you're just putting pressure this way and the material is pushing the knife back, I think is fine. As long as it's not a lot of pressure. Because what happens here, and this is kind of ergos, I guess, and cutting, this breaks and there is nothing there to protect you. That's why I don't like double detent knives. There's no flipper guard. There's nothing here. So as soon as that breaks, you're getting cut. If it's sharp and you break it far enough. You know what I mean? So you just need to be really careful. Just use it for very light tasks. At least that's my recommendation, right? Sounds. There you go. So I'd say the sounds are pretty good. It does have sort of a squeak on the close. And apparently somebody asked Joseph about this, and he said that's how it was designed, and they all have that. So I don't know if he meant like the way I did the design, it turned out to have a squeak, and they all have that, or if he actually meant for it to have a squeak, because I don't think that would be the case. But anyway, they all have it apparently, so that's just something you're going to deal with. I don't think it hinders anything. It does feel like it has a little bit of resistance in here. It's pretty smooth, but you can hear that. And I don't know if that's detent balls rubbing on what. I don't know. I did not take this apart. I did not tune it. I did not do anything. It is a loaner, and it's going around, and I want everybody to experience it as is. So, but it doesn't bother me, the sound. So there's that. Action. So that takes you to action, right? This knife has jimping from here all the way around to here. I think that's pretty cool. It's unique, right? So you also have pockets on both sides, like the Axon. So you have many options. You can slow roll this out. You can reverse flick this out. You can thumb flick this out. You can front flip this out. You can back flip this out. You can lighter Bic switch it out, sort of. I call this the lefty flip. Oh, there you go. You can't really do like a rollback from here. You know, it doesn't quite catch enough. I'm sure you could figure it out. There. So you can't really do the pena, but you obviously can do a reach around by going back here. Going back here, or reaching up front and going back here if you want. I'm sure you could figure out many ways to fidget with this thing. But mostly, I would be doing this. That's just the way these front flippers are designed, or these double detents are designed. I just feel like they're meant to be flicked and then slapped down, right? Flick, slap. Flick, slap. Flick, slap. And it's just meant for that mostly. But you do have options here, you know. The reverse flick for me, because my hand is a large glove size hand and it's lefty, this clip gets in the way and it's just kind of hard for me to get it. I can get used to it, but it's not consistent, and I have to adjust my grip a lot to do it. Right-handed, it's a little easier without that clip right there. I'm also not right-handed, so I suck at this. But anyway, point is, you can open this so many different ways. You can slam it close. You know, you could two-hand it close. You could two-hand it open. I mean, you can do whatever you want, basically. The action's good. I will say it's smooth, but it feels a little tight. I feel like it'd be nice if it was a little more drop shut. But at the same time, you're working on two detents here. I don't know if you can have a drop shut double detent. Now that I'm thinking about it, I feel like that's sort of hard. You need it to have some resistance because it's going to be sliding on those balls. I don't know. But anyway, I think the action's good for what it's going for, the double detent. And my favorite thing about this knife and why it's unique in the double detent world is that it has the flickability, right? Most of your double detents just have a flipper tab here. That's pretty much all you're getting. This, you can reverse flick, thumb flick, you can do all that. And I think that's cool, right? I think that's really cool. So, that's action. So, who do I recommend this to? Well, I don't know if in Europe somehow this is more legal, so maybe that's a good case so you can actually get a Vero. Other than that, I mean, if you're into double detents, I think it's a good option. It is the best double detent knife I've handled. So, there's that. I'm just not a double detent guy, if that makes sense. So, one thing I want to put out there is, first off, I love Joseph Vero. I love Vero Engineering. They're an amazing company, and he's an amazing guy, and Michelle is an amazing woman. So, I want to put that out there. But what I want to say is, this is the cheapest Vero knife, starting around 150 bucks, I think. If you're trying to get into Vero for the first time because, you know, there's all this hype around it and, you know, the whole thing right now with the Facebook group, and they're just very popular, right? They sell out of everything really quick. They're really hard to keep anything in stock unless it's a left-handed you know, liner lock Axon, and even those are selling. So it's hard to get their knives. So if you're thinking, man, I really just want to try a Vero, I think I might get the Neuron because it's cheap or it's going to be more available. My advice to you would be think hard about what kind of knife person you are. Are you a double detent guy? Because that's what you need to ask yourself. If you're a double detent guy, then yes, you should definitely try this knife and go for it, right? Get into Vero, all that stuff. If you're a locking knife guy like I am, I wouldn't do it. I would find a way to get an Axon liner lock, right? Because that's going to be a little more expensive. I think they start at $250, but you're going to get a locking knife, right? It's just a different experience all around. So, yeah, it's a bigger knife. I get it, but it's just my advice to you. Don't buy this just to get a Vero unless you like this kind of knife. That's all I'm saying. Because I'll tell you, when I first discovered Vero, I just wanted to get whatever I could. And I found a, what was my first Vero? I think it was an Impulse. It might have been this knife, but in right-handed, the first version. Might have been my first Vero, but it could have been an Impulse or a Synapse XL. I've had every Vero, I think, at this point, except for the original Synapse. But anyway, I did that, and I just bought what I could, right? But those were all locking knives. But I ended up selling them all. The only one I have is this Axon, mainly because it's left-handed. The Synapse and the Impulse are great, but they only have the pocket on one side, and it's really biased toward righties. But anyway, just want to put that out there. That's it, guys. I want to say a big thank you to Vero Engineering again for sending these along. These are going to go off to the next reviewer now. And, yeah, so keep an eye out for that. I think it's going to NAF Sergeant and Knife Nerdery and Tier 1 Gear and EDC, I believe. Not sure if anybody else was on that list. Possibly Knives Fast. So keep your eyes out. Oh, and Screamin' Pirate EDC. So keep your eyes out for those channels if you're interested in this knife. So that is the Vero Engineering Neuron and the Mini Fulcrum. I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day. I love you all. And I will catch you later.